Got it.
I'm going to say that again. Good evening. I'm Dan Long, Chair of the Midtown Ventura Community Council. Welcome to our virtual general meeting for Thursday, March 11th, 2021. On the agenda this evening, we will have a special presentation from the Ventura Police Department Patrol Task Force by Sergeant Angelmo. I'm not sure if I said that right, which should last about 10 to 15 minutes with questions. Our spotlight on volunteers and nonprofits will be a presentation by Heidi Coffey with the National Charity League Juniors of Ventura, an organization of local women. She will give a quick 5-minute presentation and then open it up for any questions of interest. We're also happy to have Ventura County Supervisor Matt LaVere, who will give us an update on the current vaccination status, and then he will speak about his transition from City Council to County Supervisor and other related topics of his choice, which will be followed by questions as time allows. Last on our agenda this evening will be our annual election of executive officers and board members, which we will explain about more later. Kathy Bremer, Secretary from the College Community Council, has graciously volunteered to run our election for us this evening. As always, we appreciate everyone joining us this evening and remind, no matter the subject, MVCC has a reputation of treating everyone with respect and dignity. We will also do announcements, if anybody has announcements to make at the end of after the election, near the end of the meeting. So welcome everybody, and I guess we'll get right into it. And Sergeant, if you would like to talk about the Patrol Task Force, please.
He's on mute.
Hello.
Your microphone is muted.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Now we got you.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm Sergeant Anselmo from the Ventura Police Department. I supervise Patrol Task Force. I see a few faces I recognize from many years of service with the city. The Patrol Task Force is comprised of 1 sergeant, 2 corporals, and 4 officers. And we basically were back in 2011 when we started the whole Safe and Clean initiative, and to focus on the behaviors of bad subjects loitering in our parks. We basically came into effect and started reaching out to people and doing a lot of assistance-based enforcement. So we work really close with a lot of social services, faith-based organizations, the DVP, obviously city organizations, the Parks Department, to really try to identify the subjects that need help and how we can kind of direct them to the resources they need. Now, it'd be great if I could tell you that we talk to them 1 time, 2 times, and they're fixed and they go about their way. But obviously, as you guys know, that it takes continuous interfacing with these individuals. And we currently have a Ventura County behavioral health technician that's embedded in our unit. It was granted through a triage grant through the county, or the state to the county. And then we also have, the city just hired on a additional social worker. So we have 1 part-time social worker and a full-time social worker that's basically we work with side by side, and they come into our office. And so whenever we have someone that we need to really push to get services, or if we have to take enforcement action, we always try to go there with a social service worker to give them an opportunity to go the right way versus the way we have to take them. Corporal Griffin, you want to chime in?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Hey, like Mike said, I'm one of the corporals in the unit, and we've been tasked with a pretty good task as far as dealing with a lot of the quality of life issues. So, like Mike said, we're citywide, so we handle a lot of the problems, not just in the downtown, midtown area, but we're citywide. We also work with a lot of outside agencies, Sheriff's Department, Fish and Game, and state parks to address a lot of the problems we have in the river bottoms that line our city. So the Santa Clara and Ventura River, we spend a lot of time down there, work on a lot of projects to try to rehabilitate people, provide them services, and obviously clean up the environment. Can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah, I can hear.
Sorry, my phone was acting weird. Yeah, like Mike said, so our unit, it's a full-time unit that we primarily deal with vagrancy, and it's a unit that's looked upon at the city as a pretty high-profile unit because we deal with a lot of the issues that people call in about. So my primary job right now is a downtown corporal. So I work with the business owners downtown, work with the the people, the citizens that are in the downtown area, but I'm also citywide. So as far as the other parts of our unit that deal with homelessness, we're pretty involved with the Community Intervention Court, which is basically it's an entity that deals with our most chronic problem people in the city of Ventura, and it's a collaborative effort with a bunch of different people. As far as, I mean, we got the city attorney, we have the public defender, behavioral health, obviously the PD, safe and clean manager. So we have a lot of people brainstorming how to deal with a lot of the chronic problems and chronic people that we have that people see on a day-to-day basis. So the goal is to rehabilitate them, get them into treatment, and obviously knock down our response times with the fire department, AMR, police department, all that to try to solve the problem. So we're not responding to these people day in and day out, and the citizens aren't seeing these people living on the sidewalks, so that's part of it.
As Bill mentioned, he talked about CIC, which is Community Intervention Court, which we developed a chronic offender policy. Basically, a chronic offender policy is if you are issued 5 citations within a 12-month period, one of those being in the last 6 months, you are now subject to be arrested for any administration violation. That would be like sleeping in the parks overnight, etc. Once we get someone to become a chronic offender, we bring them to Community Intervention Court, where we work with our city attorney, public defender, and our local DA's office, because there's usually some other cases going on. And we basically package all those cases together, and we say, okay, you can go to this rehab, or you could go spend time in jail, or if you go to the rehab and you successfully complete the rehab or whatever program we put them on, then we'll drop all those cases. And one of those guys, well, several of those people graduate. One of them actually works for the DVP now, who's a great guy now. Great.
So if there are any questions, please use the chat line. And if anybody needs to know how to use that, most people are familiar with Zoom now, but so Greg Mansfield has a question. Were you done with your presentation, Sergeant?
Yeah, we're here to answer any questions you need.
Okay, I didn't want to cut you off.
No.
So Greg asked, can you discuss how you are dealing with the brush fires in the Santa Clara River bottom? It's been a lot lately, I know.
Yeah, that's been a tough one. Obviously, we have to identify who's doing it. We're out there, we're trying to get our CIs, or the people that talk to us, to share information with us. And right now, no one actually is able to finger one person who's setting the fires. Obviously, the fire department's constantly having to go down there. I believe there's been 22 fires this year.
Wow.
It's been a lot. So obviously Captain Maples is the fire investigator for our city, one of them. And so we've been working in a collaborative effort with him to address how the fires are being started, where they're being started, and then what alignment they're being started, because they're not all at Spinnaker and Olivas Park or Harbor. They're going all the way up to like Johnson. So we're trying to figure out exactly where this direction of travel this person is going to set these fires. But it's a difficult one because usually fires burn all the evidence.
Jeff Lambert has a comment, and I totally agree with him. Ventura PD does such an amazing job on this issue. They are definitely a model for others to learn from, balancing enforcement of quality of life issues and social service. And I think we are very fortunate to have the police department that we have.
Thank you, Jeff.
Christine Burke has a question. Sounds like a great program. You mentioned that Corporal Griffin is in charge of downtown. Do you have a specific person who's appointed to the Midtown district?
We have the Griffin's the downtown, then Corporal Donswick's an acting corporal, and so he's the rest of the city. And then we have 4 officers under them.
Okay. And Pamela Hazard, can you give us a couple of examples of successes? I think you mentioned one.
Okay. I don't think I can use names,
Right.
but so there's a female individual that lived in the river bottom for many years, and she's currently living in a house on Seaward and very successful. There's a picture of me and her in the Ventura County Star last year, I believe. We got the front page of it, but no one reads the Star anymore.
I do. I still get, and boy, I just got the new bill for next year. Oh my gosh, it keeps going up exponential. It's just really too much.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But it's a very successful story with her, and then obviously we have many of them, but I can't give too many details exactly because privacy.
right. Christy Weir has a question. BPD is doing an excellent job. I was in Santa Barbara last week, and they have a vagrant encampments in their downtown. Our family reconnection program and homeless shelter works great. As a comment, I guess. Yes. I did have just
Go
ahead.
I would just like to throw out kudos to the downtown park ambassadors, because they're really good about getting the family reconnection. That they just call us and ask us if any cases are pending against this individual. As soon as we say no, and they do all the legwork on them. So I'd like to give a real shout out to the downtown Ventura partners.
Yeah, I know that's been very successful. Any other questions for the officers? No, I'm not seeing any pop up. I did have one quick question. I just kind of came to me. How's the permanent shelter? I mean, is it full, or is it full as can be with COVID situation?
We have 2 beds open. The last I heard, we had a meeting on Tuesday. There's 2 beds open, but due to COVID, it's not running at 100% capacity. And with COVID, a lot of homeless people are like, I don't want to be trapped inside the homeless shelter, because they're not allowed to go freely, throughout the day. Because if you're in the homeless shelter, you got to stay in the homeless shelter pretty much, unless you have a job, and they're not letting people go out and like wander the town, because they don't want to get the COVID into the shelter.
That's understandable. All right. Any other questions? Cherie, do we have any lockers available for homeless people who are not in the shelter?
Lockers available?
Yep.
We have Connex boxes, but we don't allow them to come to get it. Right now we have an individual that need to store some property, and we booked it in our Connex box. We have it, and we're storing it for them right now, but it's not where they can come and get it every day. So it was a guitar that his dad or a family member gave him, and he didn't want to lose it. We're still trying to work with them. We've put him in detox down at the rescue mission once. We put him in the shelter. He's relapsed, but we're still holding on to his guitar because we don't want him to lose his guitar. We'll get him eventually.
Okay, well, thank you. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and move on, but thank you very much for being here this evening. We talked to Derek Brunk, Commander Brunk, about, mixing up the Ventura Police Department usual report with specific work areas from the department. And I think this works great. So we really get to learn a little bit more specifically about one aspect of PD. So thank you again.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Next up, we are Spotlight on Volunteers and Nonprofits. We have Heidi Coffey, National Charity League Junior with Ventura Organization of Local Women. And Heidi, I know I saw you there. And Greg, I did ask about possibly having her putting up some information on the screen. Heidi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
And I'm not sure if we can do that or not.
Yeah, Heidi, do you want me to share my screen with you or show the screen to you?
I think that I should be able to share my screen. Yeah, I see the option down
Oh.
here.
Okay, let me see. I will.
You'll probably have to make me a co-host in order for me to share my screen. All I was going to do is highlight the website. So if it doesn't work, that's not a problem.
Okay, let me see what I can do here. Let me see. This is, unfortunately, this is our first run at this, so I'm a little, I'm having to learn it from GoToMeeting.
Yeah, we were on GoToMeeting since we had started until last month board meeting where we switched to Zoom. So it's still a little learning curve. What, Heidi, why
Will
don't you
send
go?
me a Can you
If
send
you
me a
want to make
request?
me a co-host, Greg, if you want to make me a co-host, I know how to do this because I
Okay.
have teaching things. Do you know how to
Take
do
the
that?
lead.
Up in the
I
top
don't-
right. Okay, so in the box that I'm in,
Yep,
Uh,
I'm
if
hitting
you-
that.
yeah, the little 3 dots,
Mm-hmm.
just make co-host. It should make me. There should be an option there.
Yeah, it's not showing it, a co-host.
Okay, click on participants on the bottom
Okay,
and then hover over my name and put more
okay.
and see if it allows for co-host.
Does she want to start while we're working? And I will, Heidi, let me see if I can get you caught here.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to take the whole 5 minutes and trying to get her on.
Exactly.
Okay, I can start with my write-up, and then if we get a chance, I'll share the website at the end.
Yeah, let's do that, Heidi. Thank you.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to promote our event. I think it's really important work that we do. For those of you who aren't familiar, the National Charity League Juniors of Ventura County is an organization made up of women who raise money annually for the Children's Center for Cancer and Blood Diseases and the Ronald McDonald Family Room at the Ventura County Medical Center. The reason why we picked this philanthropy to support is because cancer remains the #1 killer in diseases of children in the USA. We have current and former NCL members who have had children with this disease and who have had the opportunity to receive treatment here in the county rather than have to go into LA for treatment. There are 40 new cases in Ventura County identified every year of children's cancer. And then in addition to that, there are even more cases of the blood disease patients that the county hospital receives. This year, the program expects to see about 2,000 patient visits. It is vital that we help them maintain the quality care and the resources for our community. I'm sure you guys can imagine how hard it is to have a sick child, and anyone who's had a family member with cancer knows how hard treatment can be and how many hours that means you could spend on the road driving to and from the city. So this keeps the members of our community here local, saves them time, money, and emotional strain that they otherwise would have to endure while going through possibly the hardest thing you could go through. Before COVID, we would raise money by hosting an annual gala every year with a live and silent auction, dinner and dancing. Of course, right now we are unable to do so. This year we're doing something a little bit different. We're calling it the Tides and Vibes. It's a week-long event featuring eat out nights and a wellness Wednesday, as well as a virtual gala on Friday. And we also have our silent auction that is live now. We do have a website that, am I able to share now?
Greg? No, I'm seeing no.
Hang on, I've got the ability, but it's going to make you the host. So you're going to need to send it back to me as soon as you're done, hopefully.
Okay.
Let's see how that works.
Okay, perfect. It looks like one participant can share at a time. Yeah, great. We're good. So I'd just like to take a moment to to highlight our website. So here it is. Let me move move this real quick. ncljuniorsventura.org. Here you can see all the events that we have planned for this year. Starting this coming Monday, March 15th is Media Monday, which is just kind of a push to make sure everyone is aware of the events of the week. We have Takeout Tuesday. If you click there, you can see the restaurants that you can order from that day that will be donating proceeds to our cause. Wellness Wednesday, we have a couple yoga classes, some meditation, as well as a kickboxing class. And we've partnered with a juice company who will be supporting our efforts as well. Thursday is going to be a really fun one. We have drink kits that have been donated and supported through Good Libations as well as Ventura Spirits. And then they will be doing a Zoom style bartending class to teach you how to make your drink. And then, of course, last but not least, Friday, March 19th, we have the virtual gala, which will be a 3-course meal in a box with a beverage and live entertainment, virtual entertainment. Unfortunately, the sales for the virtual gala have closed. So that's the one thing that at this point, we wouldn't ask for support on. These other days, if anyone feels inclined to participate, please do so. It's all going to be really fun. It's for a great cause. And then one last thing we do also have here, this is our GiveSmart account, and you can go on here and see all of our wonderful items that we have procured. There's some really great stuff on here. You're going to see Patagonia sleeping bag. Everyone loves Patagonia. Come on, we live in Ventura. And a lot of really great services, some really cool food baskets, beverages, Charman hot sauce, basically anything that you could be interested in. We have something listed on our auction site. So yeah, I encourage everyone to check it out, and please reach out if you have any specific questions on the event or the charity.
Yeah, if there's any questions for Heidi, if you want to put it on the chat, that would be great. And Heidi, can you put the website on the chat so people can see it?
Absolutely.
And how's the Ronald McDonald Family Room coming?
It's coming along very nicely. I feel so special, so lucky to be participating in NCL when all of this hard work is really coming to fruition. It's been a long time coming, and I believe it's expected to be completed within this year, although I know anyone who has gone through a renovation or any sort of construction knows that that's it's often wishful thinking, but we're hearing that it's supposed to be completed this year, which is really, really exciting. I didn't remember to mention the fact that it will be the largest Ronald McDonald Living Room in all of the states. So it's actually going to be used as a model hereafter for other hospitals.
That's great. All right. Well, thank you very much for sharing all that information with us, and I really appreciate you being here with us.
Absolutely. And Greg, I am making you host again.
Well, that'd be nice.
There we go. It's all yours.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any questions? No problem.
Heidi, thank you again. Really, it's great information.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us. And hopefully I'll be seeing some of your faces around.
Yes. All right. We'll be moving on. Let me see. Do we see Supervisor LaVere with us yet?
Yes.
No, there he is. All right. Well, we are very happy to have Ventura County Supervisor, I'm so used to calling him Mayor, Matt LaVere, and he's going to give us an update on the vaccinations and then talk a little bit about the transition and whatever else he'd like to talk about. And then we'll take some questions after that. So Supervisor LaVere, thank you very much for being here with us this evening.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Yeah, why don't I just kind of go through quickly, just a vaccine update, a little about what's going on with kind of COVID generally and what the next steps are looking like. And I'm happy to take any questions. I know there's still a lot of people wanting information. You know, when can they be vaccinated? When are we going to be transitioning to tiers? A lot of questions. I'm happy to answer as many as I need to. It's hard to believe it's been a year. I think this week it's been a year, and I see Christy on here, and I think when Christy and I were going through the Thomas fire, we thought, wow, this has got to be the &1 challenge any elected person ever will have to go through. It's recovering from a massive fire, and then we had this, and it's just it's been a year now, and it's just been. I tell people it's one of these issues where I've never seen so much emotion from the community, and rightfully so. It's just impacted so many people in unique and challenging ways. And as an elected official, it's trying to meet all those various needs, and it's been a challenge for sure. But that light that we've all been looking for at the end of the tunnel is getting brighter by the day. And I think it's by no means does that mean it's time to let our collective guard down. I think the reason we're seeing such success is because of the collective efforts by so many to take these necessary precautions. And, to wear your masks in public and to do these little kind of simple asks, and they make a huge difference. And it's showing in our numbers. The great information we got Tuesday at our board meeting was that if you take into account the number of people who've been vaccinated and or infected, we're reaching 40% of the county population. And, so we're almost halfway, a little more than halfway to reaching that 75% threshold where we get herd immunity. And that's where it's really going to make our community safer when we reach those numbers. And so we're getting there. I encourage anybody who's eligible to go and get vaccinated. I know it's been a struggle up until now. We haven't been getting the supply we want from the state and the federal government. But what we're being told is by the end of this month, we're going to be seeing significantly more supply. And what I was told this week was by May, it looks like we may have more supply than the demand. And at that point, it's going to be an education campaign to educate people on the importance of getting vaccinated. And so things are really looking up on the vaccination front. The really good news we got on Tuesday was that it looks like we'll be able to transition into the red tier next Wednesday. The state updates their metrics every Tuesday. Right now, our case rate is 9.1 per 100,000 people. Once the state hits 2 million vaccinations in disadvantaged communities, there's a big focus, and rightfully so, on equity when it comes to vaccinating our public and making sure those in the most disadvantaged communities have equitable access to vaccines. And right now, as of Tuesday, the state was at 1.9 million of those. And so I was going to either tonight or tomorrow, we should get confirmation that the state has hit that 2 million threshold. And that means to transition to the red tier, it bumps up to 10. If you're under 10K, 10 per 100,000, you qualify for the red tier. We're at 9.1. Our internal figures show us down closer to 8, which should be reported on Tuesday. And so it's really looking like we'll be able to transition into the red tier effective midnight Tuesday night, so going into Wednesday morning. And that's just a huge boon for our local businesses who have been hit so hard by this pandemic. And I know the county, the city, everybody's been doing what we could to support our local business, the public too, really doing everything they can to safely support our local businesses. And it's so important. And with the red tier, obviously that allows indoor dining up to 25%. It allows some indoor access to gyms, greater access in retail in terms of capacity. It's really going to open up the economy in a safe and important way. And so that's really good news. And again, as I said, but if we keep following these protocols as we go through this transition, then we want to start looking towards the orange tier, the yellow tier. There's more tiers to go through. So it's really important that we keep following these protocols, because that's how we're going to be able to transition to these tiers quicker. And so that's the good news on the kind of the tier front. As I said with the vaccines, another thing I wanted to add was this Wednesday, the 15th, we're going to open up the next tier of eligibility, and that's the 16 to 64 group with pre-existing conditions. And the reason I say now is because I want to encourage anybody who's eligible into that category to get your doctor's note now. because when it opens up on the 15th, we'll have appointments available. And as long as you have that doctor's note, and if you go to VenturaCountyRecovers.com /vaccine information, vaccine-information, I even think there's a form note on there that you can provide to a doctor to have them sign. And it also lists the various categories which qualify, and it's pretty lengthy. So it's really going to open up another expansive tier of individuals who are eligible to get the vaccine. And again, that's going to help push us towards this herd immunity. So I encourage you to go check that list out, see if you have one of the existing conditions, pre-existing conditions, and get vaccinated if you do. It's really important. As of our meeting Tuesday, almost 240,000 people in the county had gotten vaccinated. And that includes close to 170 first doses and about 70,000 second doses. What we did as a county, which and this started before me. I've only been on there 3 months, so I don't want to take credit for it, but I think they've really made a strong push to be as flexible and mobile as possible when it comes to vaccinating the public. We have 15 mobile teams that are going out. They're getting homebound seniors. They're getting people that can't get to sites. They're going out into the farm, to the fields to help farm workers who might not have access to an actual site. They're really doing everything they can to reach people where they are and to help get them vaccinated. And that's on top of the 6 sites we have, the 6 large sites. It's on top of the 15 federal pharmacy partners we have, the dozen other pharmacy partners we have. We're trying to make this as accessible as possible to the community. And I think when it comes to administration rate, I think we're at close to 95% now. Of every dose we get, 95% are being administered. So nothing's going to waste. Very, very little is going to waste. And that's really important. I think it's the highest administration rate in the state, which just shows what a well-run program it's been by our public health staff. People have been asking me, about teachers. I wanted to mention teachers. That was a really important phase that we were able to open up several weeks ago. And right now we've been able to vaccinate 50% of all teachers and school staff. That's really important as we're all pushing to get our kids back to school in a way that's safe for them, safe for teachers, safe for staff. So to have 50% already in these first few weeks is really important. I know the governor's announcement last week, these school openings are going to start happening. Last I heard is my daughter's in first grade at Loma Vista, and I think they're going back to 5-day-a-week instruction as soon as mid-April, which is great. But to do that, it's really important that we get our teachers and staff vaccinated. So we're making really good progress on that front. The Johnson & Johnson dose vaccine, that single dose vaccines arriving in the county tomorrow. It's going to be eligible for appointments as soon as this weekend. They're doing it at the Oxnard site, at the Babies R Us site off Rose and Oxnard. So if that's the vaccine you want, and what we're being told is really, if you get offered a vaccine, take it. Don't be picky. But if that's the one that you really want, it's at that site in Oxnard. Appointments open. I think it's Saturday or Monday. It depends what time we get the supply in. But that's going to be just strictly at the Babies R Us site, and you can see on the website where you can sign up for appointments. It will stay Johnson & Johnson vaccines, and so you can sign up and try to find appointments at that site if that's the one you want. If any of you know monolingual Spanish speaking residents or neighbors or friends who are maybe having access issues in terms of maybe that their work hours aren't allowing them to call the normal hours, or if they're having problems signing up online, we just opened up a phone line that's open from 5 to 7 Monday through Friday for those individuals. And I wanted to put that number out if you have it. It's 805-371-8321. If you know anyone who's monolingual Spanish speaking who might need a little extra help in getting the vaccine, I'd really encourage them to call that number.
Excuse me, Matt, could you put that on the chat, that number on the chat?
Sure. Let me see if I can, you figure it's a year, I know how to work Zoom, right? I'm still,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's okay. Let me see if I can, chat, there it is. Okay. Let's see here.
That's really good information, so it's good to have it on there, and then we can have it captured.
I just put it on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. No, it's important that it just goes back to the equity, in getting our community vaccinated. It's really important that we reach everybody in the ways that are most beneficial to them. I mentioned the school update for that was for the K through TK through 5th grade, but the one benefit about going into the red tier is it also opens up in-person instruction for the secondary schools, the grades, I think it's 6 through 12. So going into the red tier will allow schools who have their safety plans in place the ability to start hybrid in-person instruction. So that was one of the other benefits of the red tier, which I was really excited about, because I know there's a lot of middle schoolers and high schoolers who are dying to get back to campus, and this will allow that. Speaking of those kids, one of the biggest pieces of news that made my family happy recently was the opening of sports. I know that's probably been the biggest challenge for my daughter this year, is just the lack of youth sports. And so those are now open. Many of the sports, I know there's a couple of high contact indoor sports, which we have to get, I believe it's into the orange tier. And so, but for many of the youth sports, especially the outdoor sports, they're now open, leagues, competition. It's so great. My daughter just got back with her soccer team. You should see just seeing the look on her face being back on the soccer field and being back in school. It's just, I saw what a tough year she had, and to see the joy in her eyes, just being back in school, playing sports again. The world's becoming a little more normal, which has been great for my family. And I know a lot of other families as well. Just talking real quick about our stats. I mentioned that the state updates their stats on Tuesdays. As I said, we were at 9.1 last week. We're anticipating getting down to the low 8s, maybe into the high 7s this week when it comes to our case rate. Our positivity rates, as of Tuesday, 3.5%. We've heard it's closer down to 3% now. That already qualifies us for the orange tier. So our positivity rate is great. Our health equity positivity rate is great for the positivity rates in our disadvantaged communities. Hospitalizations continue to trend down. We're now down to, I believe it was 65 tonight, 22 people requiring ICU. I mean, when we were in the top of this surge, there was hundreds of hospitalizations. I think it got up to 450, several hundred in the ICU. I mean, the surge in December and January was frightening for our healthcare community and those who are treating these sick individuals. And so to see those numbers go down is just really encouraging. And they're continuing to trend down, which is positive. But it goes without saying, we also reported 8 new deaths today. So we're now, I think it's 917 deaths. And I think that's just the constant reminder of what this virus, the impact it's had on our community. Over 900 families losing a family members. Never, it's a tough pill to swallow. And so obviously, we're thinking about them. I think we all probably know a family that lost someone. That's hard when it's such a small community. We all know each other. And that's been one of the hardest things for me to grasp. It's just the number of lives lost. But as we make this turn, hopefully those numbers continue to go down. Something that I want to know, if you're a small business owner, the county is opening up their second round of business assistance grants later this month. The application period is going to be March 31st through April 6th. So it's a week later this month. And if I put these updates out on my Facebook page once a week now. I try to do them out on Wednesdays. So if you're not catching all this, I have a Supervisor Matt LaVere Facebook page where I try to put all this out, and I'll have all this information on there. But the county last summer did a first round of $20 million in business grants to the local small businesses. We're going to do another $20 million, which is opening up, as I said, later this month, $5,000 grants to local businesses who are eligible. And I know it's not a lot of money, but we just hope that $5,000 can help with employee cost, back rent, whatever it is, to give our businesses a boost. I think it's important we keep doing that. And so I want to make people aware that's coming again. And then there's a lot of rental assistance that's coming into play. If you go to housingiskey.com, it's a state program, and there's going to be close to $52 million for Ventura County individuals, landlords and tenants. It offers money to landlords. If they're willing to accept, I think it's 80% of back rent. It's that they're eligible to get. Tenants are able to get, I think, up to 25% of back rent due and owing. So $52 million, which is going to be made available to residents in our county who are having issues through the pandemic, which I know many have. And so that's kind of my general update of the latest information I know. I'd be happy to take any specific questions now at this point.
Well, I do see a few questions and several comments, but Greg Mansfield wants to know, do you know what the county of Ventura will receive from the COVID relief bill that President Biden signed today? Do you have a?
Yes, I believe it is 160 million. That's my understanding, which we're gonna, obviously meet as a board and figure out how we can start getting that back into the community. It's meant to help and aid in the recovery. And so I know we're going to meet, and whether it's more business assistance, rental assistance, whatever we need to do. I mean, as this virus, as kind of the epicenter of the virus kind of starts slowly going away and we return month by month to a little normalcy, problems are going to persist. I know that. It's like when we went through the Thomas fire, we knew that when just the fire going out wasn't the end of the problem, that we were going to have to deal with problems 1, 2, 3 years out. And I know with this pandemic, it's going to be the same thing. So it's really going to help us as we see these different problems that arise to be able to address them. And it's going to be nice to have that funding available to meet those ongoing needs.
And I do see a question, I think you answered, when we show up for a vaccination, does the patient get to choose the one that they want? And no.
No, except for that one site where it's going to be the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The rest of them, it's whatever's available that day.
I got to tell you, I'll take whatever they're given as soon as I can get it.
That's the advice we got. Yeah. And if anybody's eligible and having a problem getting an appointment, let me know. I have someone on my team who has been really handy about finding openings at various pharmacies in town. And she's been able to get, I think, close to 24 people appointments at Rite Aids and CVS locations in Ventura and Ojai and Oxnard. And so if anybody is having a problem, they're eligible and they're having a problem, please reach out to me. We'll do whatever we can to help.
Really appreciate that, Matt. There was a question for what's the link for rental assistance for landlords and tenants, and what's the phone number for questions in rental assistance? And Cherie Egbert said back, I believe it's housingiskey.com.
Correct. It's a state program. Yeah, it's www.housingiskey.com. Thanks, Cherie.
And then I see Marta Brown says housing.california.gov.
That's the redirect page. So when you do housing is key, it redirects to housing.ca.gov.
Okay, thank
That's
you,
the
Marta.
actual link.
And all of this information is on Ventura County Recovers too.
All right, are there any other questions about vaccinations or COVID in general? Otherwise, Matt, how's things going? How's the transition? Is it quite the learning curve? And how's it going?
It's going good. I'm drinking out of a fire hose, but it's been the county is an incredibly well-run organization, and I think it's been they have great staff members, great leadership in the CEO's office, great leadership in the departments. It's a very I really like the board, but I said the same thing about who I had the privilege of working with on the city council. When you have a civil board that gets along, there's always going to be policy disagreements. That's natural. But when you have a board that has that professionalism and just the civility, it makes it a really enjoyable experience, even when there are those policy disagreements. And so I'm very fortunate to have served on 2 boards that are just really the cream of the crop when it comes to the ability to work well together. So that's made my experience, really, really enjoyable so far. Obviously, COVID has made it very challenging because the needs and the issues are so individual and diverse, and there's so many people that you want to help and only so much time in the day. So it's been really challenging, but at the same time, I've really enjoyed the work itself.
Well, I think stepping in for Neil Andrews, just as the Thomas fire started, really, you've got this two things going. You both had to figure it out right quick and just start moving.
Yeah, it's like
well prepared.
I said before, it helps having the Thomas fire recovery was such a collective effort from the whole council, and they don't teach you that how to respond to the worst natural disaster in your city's history, and in your 2-day how to be a city council member training. And it's the same thing, with how to respond to the worst pandemic that's hit the world seen in 100 years. There's no training for that. Really, a lot of it's learning on the go and depending on professional staff and just working with a board that's united in wanting to help.
Yeah, I see Pamela Hazard has a question. Is ventilation a considering factor for schools opening?
That is a good question. I don't know. I would assume so, but I don't know. It's a great question.
And Greg is asking, can you discuss what? Yeah, Greg, the former reporter, star reporter. He always has a lot of questions. Can you discuss what housing initiatives the county is pursuing? How the heck did you end up in a Chevy commercial?
Yeah, one of my classmates.
I've heard that.
One of my classmates from high school is the casting director for Chevy now. And so when my wife got her new Chevy, he was insistent that we try out. And fortunately, my family's a lot better looking than I am, so we got in a commercial. But yeah, housing to me, housing is one of those issues why I ran and why I'm so excited about being able to serve an elected office is this focusing on what I genuinely believe is a crisis statewide. Just the ability for people, and it really, to me, a lot of it goes back to affordability and focusing on making housing that's affordable. One of the issues that I really want to focus on in these next 4 years is affordable housing, specifically farm worker housing. I think that's a community that is often underserved and forgotten when it comes to this housing. And if you see the conditions that so many of them have to live in, it literally breaks your heart. So, we just approved the biggest farm worker housing project in the history of the county. It's going in out near Somas, over 300 units. And so that's something I'm really excited about working on, is to really further these affordable and farm worker housing units. And, a lot of time, it's, as a county, you're limited obviously to unincorporated territories, and each city is dealing with housing in their own way. And each city has their own unique challenges when it comes to housing. But I think when it comes to the county, there's a lot of space where we can work on this farm worker housing, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, and Karen Flock says, Matt, thanks for your support for the Somas farm worker housing. That was the first supervisor meeting I saw that you were on, and I thought you did a great job. And I was just so happy to see that come through, because housing is such a critical issue to our whole economy in the county. And it's going
to be transformational for 360 local families. That's really exciting.
And I do see there's just a link that Kathy W. put up to everyone about a standby list for COVID leftovers. I hadn't heard about that, but that makes great sense.
Not that I'm aware of. I know initially they had thought about doing a standby list, but what they found after the first week or so of doing vaccines was that there was nothing left at the end of the day. The administration rate was so high that there really wasn't a need for a standby list. I can speak unofficially. I've heard of several people who go to pharmacies at the end of the day and just ask. And I think I know 3 people who have gone to a local CVS and gotten a vaccine at the end of the day, just because there was some left over and they were going to throw them away. And so it can't hurt to go try these various pharmacies that are doing the vaccines. Stop by at the end of the day and see what they have, because I've heard 3 people get one.
I got to just say, I thought about hovering down at the fairgrounds, being on the board, seeing how things are going, but I don't think that would be quite the way to do it.
Yeah, I think at the county sites, they're not doing that, but I believe some of these pharmacies are.
Interesting.
Yeah, we just don't have, at the end of the day, we just don't have much left over.
Bonnie says CVS has been great to call people at the end of the day. And so maybe there is some of that, working.
And these are people that weren't eligible either. They wanted to be vaccinated, and they stopped by CVS at 5 o'clock and said, I'm 42. You got anything left over? And they go, hey, we sure do. And they got vaccinated. So
Christy's nodding her head and says, yeah, Rite Aid has leftover vaccines. Greg, again, can you talk about what Eric Nazarenko will bring as DA?
Yeah, that was one of the first big decisions that I was asked to make. And to me, it was a no-brainer. Getting somebody with Eric's compassion and pedigree. I think he's going to be an incredible district attorney. I had the privilege of working with him for 4 years in the city council, and I saw how thoughtful and intelligent he was in that position. I knew how much his heart was in being a district attorney in justice and equity. And I think just the mindset that he's going to bring to that office, and the ability for him to think outside the box and not be stuck on the way that DA's offices have been run for the 50 years. He's not going to be stuck in that old mold of being a DA. And I really think he's going to be forward thinking. I love his focus on mental health in the justice system and changing that. I think he's going to bring a lot of fresh ideas to the office. And I'm incredibly happy for him. I know it's something he's really wanted to do, and he's just going to do such a good job. I don't have a doubt in my mind that he's going to be an incredibly effective and good DA for the community.
Yeah, I was really excited when he got the nod. I thought, I didn't know how great of a chance he had, but we know how long he's been really wanting to get that position. So
I mean, he's just, he's the perfect person for that position right now. Given where we are as a community and some of the issues we're facing, he's going to be great.
I agree. Thank you very much. Is there any other questions for Matt? I think they would fire off continually, but I think you answered a lot of stuff right at the beginning. Well, we're very happy that you're our supervisor, Matt.
Thank you. Yeah, and we'll keep doing this. My goal is to get out. Obviously our reality is Zoom now and for the foreseeable future. But things are going to be getting a little more back to normal as the summer approaches. And I really want, as things do open up, I really like to get out and be involved and get together with this community group, a couple times a year just to catch up. And I hate doing all the talking. I think I'm a lot more effective in my position as a listener. And so to really hear, what we as a county can be doing to support the community, to work with the city on issues. So let's keep doing this, continue the conversation, and I would appreciate that.
And I know a lot of people do look at your Facebook page, and I've heard that you give a lot of updates about vaccinations and everything else.
Yeah, well, it was great seeing everybody, a lot of familiar faces. And so, I hope everybody is staying safe and healthy, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm so glad your daughter is back in soccer.
Oh, you should see the look on her face. It's the best. As a dad, it's the best feeling to see that happen.
Thank you very much.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye. All right. Now we are up to our election, our annual election. And so we have Kathy Bremer, and I believe Karen Flock too is going to introduce some of the information. So Karen, are you there?
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm here representing the board of directors that served as the nominating committee to recommend a slate of officers and at-large board members for your consideration. So the slate that we're proposing is as chair, Greg Mansfield, vice chair, Eric Berg, secretary, Cherie Egbert, co-secretary, Pamela Hazard, treasurer, Dan Long, and then 4 at-large board members, Christine Burke, myself, John Jones, and David Farron. And most of these folks have been serving in various positions off and on for a while and bring good experience. We have 2 relatively new participants. Eric Berg, who is a landscape architect and has provided some great volunteer efforts in some of our community projects, and Christine Burke, who is a local business owner owning Caffrodite, and also very active in the community. So that's our recommended slate. And then we'll turn it over to Kathy Bremer to run the election.
Okay, everyone has heard the slate that is proposed. And so the next thing we need to determine is if there are any nominations from the floor for any of the offices. Do I hear any nominations from the floor for any of the offices? I hear none. So we can move ahead to vote the slate. Greg, are you ready?
So you just need to vote, read it, and then hit submit.
Yeah, respond to the poll, and Greg will get the data and be able to read it back to us.
That looked good, Greg.
I feel like we're a PBS pledge drive here. Waiting for the numbers to come in.
Maybe we need some Jeopardy music.
Kathy W. says, where's the poll? Do you not see the poll? Kathy?
Or Kathy might, if she's on a phone, I think you might have to hit the, there might be a function or something at the bottom.
Kathy, did you hear Greg? You're muted.
She's working on it.
That 1 sec. How are we looking, Greg?
We're pretty close. Obviously not everybody's eligible to vote, but it looks, we've got right now 25. So 80% have voted. So let's give it another, we'll close it at 3-minute mark here, which is about 30 seconds away. I was a little fearful, like my screen has frozen because the numbers haven't changed. So.
I see Derek Towers said, not sure if you recognize Council Member Johnson is here. And I didn't see him at all.
He's
What is he
right
on?
there.
I'm here. He's been there. Not the whole
Really?
time. Thank
Okay. Well, thank you for being here.
Okay, I'm going to close the poll now. We're at 3 minutes. So, and I'll show the results.
All right, 100% of the vote supported the slate. Thank you very much. We
Okay.
appreciate your confidence.
Excellent. So now we can move to the at-large board members. The slate that's proposed is again Christine Burke, Karen Flock, John Jones, and David Farron. Are there any nominations from the floor for at-large board members? Anyone? I'm hearing no nominations from the floor, so it looks like we're ready to vote for the slate. Greg?
Kathy, just check your notes. They're in the corner. Kathy W. Indicated that she'd like to be an at-large board member.
Oh, the chat? Okay.
Yes.
And
So since there is room on the at-large board for up to 6 total candidates and there are 4 on the slate, should we vote first for the slate and then for the additional member? I would like, there's, is someone nominating Kathy W.?
I think she's nominating herself, but I don't believe she's a member. maybe we don't have her name.
Can you unmute yourself, Kathy?
Kathy W., please unmute. So she would need to be a member, and then she would need to be nominated, and then we would need a second. So where are we, Karen?
Well, I think you can nominate yourself if that's what's happening. But again, I'm not sure what her full name is, but I don't believe that she is a member.
Just said in the chat that this is her first meeting,
Oh, right.
so
She wouldn't be eligible anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we didn't go over just the rules and the bylaws that to be a board officer or member, you need to be a member of Midtown and also to have attended at least one meeting in the past year.
Yes. But we do thank you for joining us today.
Yes, really.
And I would just say, since I have the floor now, we've been not too great at advertising for people to sign up as members in this COVID year, but you can sign up to be, and I see a number of people who are here tonight who aren't members, but I know are eligible. So you can sign up on our website, and we do encourage folks to join and to keep participating in any way that they can.
Karen, I'll put up the
And,
link right now
If there's
on the
a link,
website.
is there a link to your application that could be put in the chat for the people who are requesting?
That's what I'm doing right. I'll do it right now.
Great.
So
Great.
All right, and
Okay,
so-
we can move ahead with election for a vote on the slate proposed for the at-large board members.
okay, like before, I'll keep it going to the 3-minute mark. So we've got about 2 minutes.
And Maureen, did your question get answered from Karen Flock about how to become a member?
Yeah, I didn't know if I'm already a member or not. I've been coming to the meetings for several months, but I just didn't know if I signed up or not.
Yeah, and it was in the newsletter last month and again this month to be able to vote and or to be a member on the board or not run for office. You have to fill out the membership form. So, and maybe we haven't done that great of a job during COVID, but we will try to get that out more so people understand that.
Oh, so voting, you need to be a member too, right? Is what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yes.
But thank you.
Maureen, you're not, but please download the form on our website and sign up. In our first year of doing this, which was 2020 or 20, whatever, whatever last year was, we were very aggressive about getting folks to join up for membership. But honestly, in the COVID year, we've been definitely not.
And Karen seems to think she can hear, I have frogs in my backyard. She can hear them. I don't know if that comes across on my mic.
I can absolutely hear him.
Just faintly here. Yep.
Yeah, they're happy. They like the rain, so they're very happy the last couple of days.
I love it. I was going to ask whose frogs were creaking.
I had no idea they actually came through, but that's cool. They're happy frogs.
Okay, we have 10 seconds. Okay, the poll is closed. I'll share the results.
Hey,
It's a unanimous crowd here this evening.
Correct, we had-
Congratulations.
Yes, and to let everybody know, we had a total of 20 votes. I'm not sure if that shows on your side, but we had a total of 20 votes.
and Greg, congratulations for taking over the reins. I get to breathe a little bit more, but I'll be around. So, and congratulations to Eric Berg and Cherie and Pamela. So, and thank you to the board members at large. You know, we do need to transition ourselves and kind of get fresh blood coming in. So Eric's new to our board, Christine's new, and look for them to be with us a long time, and hope to get other people to join up and serve as well. So some of us can transition out and get some fresh blood going in all the time.
Hey, Dan, can I just pass along? I just wanted to give you a quick note. I just want to thank you so much for what you've done the last 2 years as chair, and especially you're taking over basically during an unprecedented time when we went from in-person meetings to virtual meetings. I don't know if a lot of folks know, but Dan deserves immense credit for helping push the Midtown Commons through the finish line. The Ventura City Council approved the project in February, which had been a 20-year goal of the Community Council. Dan kept it with the city officials, and working with David Sharon and Brian Broderson made it reality with the construction starting, I think, Dan, in April. Is that what the plan is?
Yeah, the construction is supposed to start sometime in April.
Great. And then also a couple other things I just wanted to say was Dan was also Mr. Reliable when it came to Midtown Ventura's Food Truck Friday that helped raise $20,000 for Midtown Commons. He never missed an event. I believe he's the only one to hold that claim. Am I correct, Dan?
I'm afraid so.
Okay. Well, and I think you truly enjoyed kind of seeing the families have fun at the event, you know, even if it was colder than an Alaskan winter. So, and then I think the last thing is Dan's given a lot of credit for the quality of speakers that we have at our community council meetings. I think it's a result of the relationships that you built with the folks and the fact that they feel like they can come into an environment like ours with confidence that they're going to be ambushed as far as presenting information and other things. So really do want to thank you for doing it. And I know how much work it takes, and I'm kind of crying. It's kind of a half cry / congratulations, because you know, it's going to be a lot of work, and I'm actually looking very much forward to working with Eric Berg. You know, we've become kind of new friends, so to speak. We don't know each other great, but I think we're going to have a great working relationship on helping steer the community council over the next year.
Greg, thank you for the kind words. It really is a privilege and honor to work with all the board members that we have. And Food Truck Fridays was great. I mean, everybody loved it. We kind of hated seeing it go, but apparently we kind of got out about the right time, as it turns out. But it did raise a lot of money, and that helped us to give about 10% of the money that Midtown Commons, you know, for Midtown Commons, city's putting in about 200,000. So. Yeah, it's, you know, I think the founding, when we first started, we always just decided that we're going to have a positive influence on the community, and that's shown through every meeting. And I think that's really important that we always continue that, especially these days when people can kind of get one-sided. Here, it's always, you know, people are treated with dignity and respect. So thank you. And I'm not going anywhere. All right, and so I guess Greg will take over actually at our next board meeting next week. And just to finish this out, I wanted to ask Councilman Johnson, did you have any announcements you'd like to make? Anything of importance that we should know that's coming up with the city? I have some other announcements, but I thought I would ask you first.
Not off the top of my head. just everybody, please continue to be vigilant when you're out and about. Let's get done with this whole pandemic thing as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Good words. I do have a few announcements. This Saturday at Loma Vista Garden at 9 a.m. I believe it's at 9 a.m., Cherie. And you can come and work as long as you'd like. I imagine the gardens looks pretty good right now after this rain. Springtime, there's probably a few weeds to pull, but just show up. And it's really nice to be out in that garden anytime.
So Dan, 9:30.
9:30.
Yeah, 9:30 to 11:30.
Oh, look, and there's the garden right behind her. It's
Yes,
beautiful.
Loma Vista Garden right behind me. You can see it right here.
Oh, the sea and oaks just looks great.
Yes, and please come. It's actually garden, like we call it garden therapy. It's really relaxing. You learn a lot about native plants and how to take care of them, because they're not the kind of plants you just let go. They do need to be trimmed. You learn what time of the year to trim them. I work with, we have an expert on hand. But bring gloves. Maybe if you have a cutting tool you like, that would be great. But Loma Vista School is at the very top of Mills Drive for those that are new. Maybe Kathy W. will show up. Or just look it up. It's on Lynn Drive and Loma Vista on the corner.
Oh, that's great. That's a great picture behind you too.
Yeah.
And I also have Haley Project. It goes to the DRC on March 17th and the Planning Commission on April 28th. There's also a project, 12-unit multifamily building going in next to the Discovery Building on Thompson, and that goes to Design Review Committee on March 17th as well. And also we haven't really announced it a lot, and I think we ought to probably start putting something in our newsletter as well about the General Plan Advisory Committee. That next meeting is March 16th from 6 p.m. to 8:30. Plan Ventura at city@ventura.ca.gov. So you can go on the city website and get the information, but the next meeting is March 16th. And that is, of course, what really, is going to set the future of Ventura, of what we build, what we don't build, where we grow, where we don't, and all kinds of other issues, environmental and otherwise, for the next 20 to 50 years. So it's an important, really important thing to get public input into. And I would encourage people to attend even while it's still on Zoom, and hopefully we'll be out of the Zoom and back in live meetings with that. It's a little easier, I think, to be able to be heard. Anyhow, that's all the announcements I have. Is there anybody else that would like to make any announcements?
I have a couple of announcements for
Go ahead.
Maybe some of you know that musicians and artists have had a real hard time as well in this whole pandemic. Live musicians have not been able to really play unless, it's not the same kind of a thing on Zoom or online. And so I asked a local musician to what we could do, and he came up with this whole program, and every Saturday we have live local musicians playing for free. We call it a free culture moment in the side yard at Caffredite, and from 9 a.m. till at least noon, sometimes a little bit later. And you can, if you'd like, donate tips, and they have an online donation thing, so you don't have to put money in there if you don't want to. And in addition, so that's every Saturday from 9 to at least noon, sometimes 1 or 2. And every first Saturday of the month, Caffredite Community Collective hosts local artisans, and they have booths, and they have local gifts and things. So there's food and music and community, and we're all doing it safely with social distancing. And finally, be on the lookout for our concerts in the backyard. We're going to be having those on Friday evenings once a month, and some of our members might be having some of them too. So This is a local nonprofit, and we're all always, our motto is to celebrate the art of community. So hope to see you there.
Thank
Yes.
you, Christine.
Thank you.
And Bert Handy sent out a message, an announcement. The Water Commission meets on March 23rd at 5:30 p.m. for anybody interested in the Water Commission, what's going on there. Certainly, we had Ventura Water last month, and the wastewater and water rates are all going up, and a lot of talk about that. And, all right, is there anybody else that has anything else they'd like to add for the good of the choir? Nope. All right, then I think we'll go ahead and sign off, and thank you very much for being here tonight. Really appreciate it, and always appreciate seeing all your happy faces. Thank you very much. Good night.